After World War II, a film genre would emerge in America that would change the landscape of Hollywood. Known as film noir, French for dark film, the genre would be characterized by not only the story elements, but also the themes of its production and composition. The bright and idealized portrayal of life in classic Hollywood cinema would suddenly change to bleak and melodramatic films centered around crime and sex. Even though the film noir period lasted for about 20 years from the early 1940s to late 1950s, several of its elements would be used from then on to today. Film editor and historian Paul Duncan said, "It's the fedora hat, the cigarette smoke, the guns, the femme fatale, the dark streets." But noir is much more than that. Noir is a feeling for life rather than a rigid genre of concrete rules. Film noir is the cinema of unease, of uncertainty, a universe of danger, sexual tension, and betrayal. Not only would film be influenced by film noir, but television, comic books, and even video games will take the dark stylistic themes of the genre and implement them. In this video essay, I'm going to examine my favorite TV show, my favorite comic book, and one of my favorite comic book movies to see how each of them owe much of its essence to film noir and its defining elements. One of the genre's most intriguing elements is its ability to make the viewer care for someone who doesn't necessarily have the cleanest moral compass. The wanting to see the protagonist succeed, even though he or she is in over his head. That desire to have something you can't have. The taking a bite from a forbidden fruit and then having to deal with the aftermath. This is even present in shows like Breaking Bad, where the main character continuously becomes entangled in a lifestyle that gets increasingly harder and harder to keep up. A lifestyle that doesn't end well for the protagonist, despite how promising it looked at the beginning. The relationship between Walter White and his brother-in-law Hank almost directly resemble the relationship between Neff and Keys from Double Indemnity. The loyal friend who believes the protagonist is innocent, getting closer and closer to solving the case, after one close call after another, only to eventually find out that the criminal and missing link to the case was in front of him the whole time. Comic books like Batman would be heavily influenced by the film noir style. The story would sometimes be dominated by an inner voice to show the internal conflict in the character's subconscious. This melancholic voiceover emerged from American film noir, which served as a means of communicating memories of violence, loss, and guilt to the first-person narrative. Batman would sometimes contemplate his next move or ponder on other characters' meaning to him through panels on the side indicating his inner voice. Being a detective in the Dark City, the encounters he would have with Commissioner Gordon would sometimes directly resemble moments from an American film noir movie. The fast dialogue, the smoke at times, the high contrast lighting would also play into Batman's character, his mystery, and the darkness of his persona. It is also worth noting how the comic utilizes various femme fatales throughout the comic book series, the most prominent being Selina Kyle, or Catwoman. Her character is able to manipulate Batman many times throughout the series, and able to effortlessly feed off his already questionable morals.
Rorschach's Journal, October 12th, 1985. Dog carcass in alley this morning. Dire tread on burst stomach.
Not straying too far from comics, the film Watchmen, based on the graphic novel of the same name, utilizes techniques pioneered in film noir films. Directed by Zack Snyder, the film has a moody, dark atmosphere reminiscent of classic film noir. He utilizes high contrast lighting and asymmetry to help tell the story. The film follows a hard-boiled detective named Rorschach who is trying to solve the murder of his friend. He smokes, sports a trench coat, and has very questionable, cutthroat morals. However, his character is very endearing, and as he begins to unravel the case, he realizes it goes deeper and deeper and he is in over his head. Like the many noir films preceding it, the fate of this character is not a positive one. A beautiful femme fatale is in the film as well, named Laurie Jupiter, or the Silk Spectre, who is married to one of the most powerful beings in the universe. She's apathetic in her current marriage and manipulates one of the other superheroes into having a relationship with her. That is a look at some of my favorite pieces of media that have been inspired by classic noir. Even though the setting, the speech, the photography may change over the years, the basic psychological and emotional conflicts and elements present in noir will always be relevant to the audience. Despite ending in the early 60s, film noir as a genre has impacted media more than we can ever know and will continue to impact media as well. Thank you.